just like to start off today's events with some acknowledgements and group agreements. First, we would like to acknowledge the land we occupy are the Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi nations from what we know of. A way that I'm personally connecting with land this month is that I started composting in my community, in my little neighborhood, and BB will put in the chat how I am composting and how I found out how to compost. We would also like to acknowledge that there is a protest today against the horrible evil cop Lori Lightfoot. Even though we are not present at the protest, we support everyone who is there and all the organizations who organized it and who are also present. We also support Palestine and are against the funding of Israel's military. We are also going to put an action-based item on how to support Palestine. The last thing we would like to acknowledge today is that we are still, unfortunately, in a global pandemic. And so we would like to thank you for being here today with us. And we know that Zoom is a lot of energy. So thank you for being here and allowing your energy to fill the room. And then I'll pass it off to BB for our group agreements.
Yes, I'm putting several links into the chat. I'll also send these in the email that'll go out after this, so you can also access it that way. We just want to make sure y'all have resources right away if you have time to take a look at them. But the last link I'm going to put in here are our group agreements, and I'm also going to share my screen quickly so we can go over them together. One moment. Okay, so here are our group agreements for tonight's event, Mayflowers. We ask that each person take care of themselves before anything else. So that means using the bathroom, going to get food or water. We want you to prioritize your body at all times during this discussion. So do whatever feels good to you. We also ask everyone be aware of your part in the social environment while sharing the floor. We want to center Black, Brown, and Indigenous voices in this space. So if that's you, we would encourage you to step up, say how you feel, what you feel, when you feel.
Also, we ask if you are white to please ask yourself these questions before speaking. We ask you to ask yourself, is what I'm going to say adding to the conversation? Does it have value? Or is it something that has already been said and just repeated in a different form? We also ask you to ask yourself, have I spoken more than others in the group? And also, if you have a compliment to tell us and you are white, we greatly appreciate it in a monetary form to GoFundMe's or Lily's Cash App or Venmo that we'll also put in the chat and in the email later. We also want to, if at any moment you feel uncomfortable, harmed, or confused, feel free to write out publicly in the chat or private one of the facilitators, me or BB, and then we'll have a discussion on how to move forward. If you are the person that has caused harm, before anything, we ask you to take a breath and to say oops before you say anything else. And now I'll pass it back to BB.
Yep. And our final agreement is we ask you all to come with an open heart, whatever that means to you. So now that we've gone through our agreements, if you agree, type I agree, give us a thumbs up, or say cool, affirmative, whatever feels good for you in the chat. And then if you don't agree or if you have questions, put that in the chat as well. So we'll give you a couple moments to digest our group agreements. Let's see. Cool. That's not in the way. Fabulous. I think that's everyone. So now we can move on. Now we'll do a quick, let me stop sharing. For this portion, we're really excited. This is the best part where we get to talk to community member Lily B. Before we jump into that, we ask that everyone to please, for this part of the discussion, please have your camera off and mics muted, just so that we can all be able to focus on the discussion. We'll have a time later in the event where we'll invite everyone to turn their cameras on if they would like to for the question and answer portion. But just to help with focus and background noise, we ask that everyone have cameras off and that we're muted. So thanks y'all for that. I'm going to toss it over to our other amazing collaborator and organizer, Jessie. Jessie, can you say hi and introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Jessie. I am part of Creators Thrift. My role in this amazing, group of people is I like to call myself a freedom artist advocate. And what that means is that I am here to advocate for artists to have independence to create, their own art, whatever that may be, whether it's on stage, whether it's on a canvas, whether it's out on the street, whether it's with music, without having to feel the strains or constraints of having to turn to an institution. More than anything, I would like us to create a community and a space where we actually get to uplift one another, and most importantly, be the advocates for underrepresented artists, mainly BIPOC, LGBTQI plus, and differently abled. And I am excited to be a part of these amazing people, which are Bibi and Kiko, who have really pioneered for this. But more than anything, I'm super stoked to have la más chingona de todas, Lily B, with us today. So thank you. I will turn it over to Kiko.
Thank you so much, Jessie. My name is Kiko. I have no pronouns, so instead of using they, he, or she for me, you can just use my name, Kiko. I am a facilitator and a graphic designer for Creators Thrift. And now I'll pass it all over to Bibi.
Hi, I'm Bibi. My pronouns are they, them, and I am the messenger hawk for Creators Thrift. So that means I get the pleasure of being able to connect folks and just be a hawk and a messenger. I don't know, it's going to be amazing. So, but even better than that, welcome everyone, if this is your first time or if this is your second time with us, we're happy to have you here. And we're really excited to have Lily B with us. So Lily B is a Chicago West Side born and raised award-winning storyteller. Lily B is the first Latinx winner of a Moth Grand Slam championship and creator of Stoop Style Stories, formerly The Stoop. And we'll share that link in the chat very soon. Lily V is a huge advocate for the marginalized, and a lot of her storytelling work is centered around helping people discover their voices and be heard. Lily has taught at Second City and colleges and universities worldwide. Her calling to connect and serve has been a long-standing motivation for the work that she does and continues to do. Storytelling has the power to shape, transform, and save lives, and Lily B is living proof. Catch all that she's doing and has at the works at stoopstylstories.com. So thank you, Lily. Hi.
That's me. I do a lot. Oh wow. I was like, that's me. Oh, that's thank you for inviting me. This is great. This is really laid back and chill, and I love it. So great. But thank you. No, I love the work that you all are doing here, and like I said, I'm here to be of service to anyone that is about wanting to be heard and seen and just be, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh my God. Okay. So we want to start off the conversation with this question of, when did you realize that mutual aid was a lot easier than what you thought it was?
I'm gonna be real. Like, so during the pandemic was one thing, but like I've been known, right? Like if you grow up like Latina, or at least let me bring this in, because I'm doing my best to not prescribe or blanket statement things. So that's a work in progress. So I knew from very young that you can help people with very little. And that's because my grandmother, who had like a garden in her backyard, was giving away tomatoes and cilantro to like people who needed it for salsas, right? Like like and so it was, and in return, I'd be walking down the street, and if any of these people saw me like in the rain or whatever, they'd be like, Mira, mija, let me give you a ride home, because of this like mutual kind of like just understanding and respect in the community that I grew up in, like West Side Homer Park. So as I got older, and people seem to become more and more kind of, I me mind, what's in it for me type of kind of thinking, that just never went away. Like it just never went away from me. And so more in the pandemic, I came to this like realization where it's like, I'm not balling. Look, I'm an artist. I'm a single, like, on the west side. I live on the west side. Well, not anymore. I moved to Dunning, but basically my whole life, 42 years of my life on the west side of Chicago. And I'll tell you, like, I came to the conclusion that it's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be to help people, and all because I saw another person in the storytelling community basically ask people, and again, this is like a well-off person, saying, "Hey, pay for my class, I'll open it up to one student," right? Like basically sponsor a class with me and I'll open it up to one black student. And it got me thinking, like, but where does that go outside of that one black student? And is that black student going to go, like, I know everyone counts, but how could we turn that 400 $500 into more? so so I took that same kind of thinking, and said, well, here you go, here, friends of means and privilege, for every receipt, because I'm big on receipts, keeping like physical receipts and also like just receipts. um if you can send me a receipt that shows that you donated within the last 24-48 hours, to any of these 5 organizations, and I think it was like Brave Space Alliance, Asada's Daughters, My Block My Hood, it was, I'm trying to think of all, because I was changing them up uh every day, the Chicago Bond, and Breathing Room. So it was a couple of people that I knew. Free Street Theater, I think, got thrown in there. Bunch of places that I knew were struggling during the past. Show me a receipt. Just send me a receipt, of the equal amount that I charge for my class. So $250. Like, show me a receipt for 175 to 250, because I do a discounted price. 175 to 250, and I will open up a scholarship, like a spot. It doesn't come to me. Just show me that you sent it, a confirmation email, whatever. And I thought it was gonna be like 1 or 2 people, and I ended up getting like 30 something scholarships, like 35, 40 scholarships, and doing the math, it's like $5,000-6,000 out there. But now it's not just going to one person. Right now you got like whole organizations doing work, and it's going to like multitudes of people. And all it was, and I didn't pay for none of this. This was like, and I called them out the way I called them out, like, people, friends of means and privilege, you know who you are, because I'm not going to sit there and put names, but you know who you are. I'm my friends who got means and privilege. Show me the receipts. You want to sit here and talk about like my heart goes out, my prayers, la la la. Let me see. No, show me the money. Show me that you got that you're more about than a post and my and feelings, right? And I think out of fear that I would come at them personally. I don't know. They were just like, "Hey, look, I'm like, proof. Here's the proof. Here's the proof." And they just kept coming in, and I just every day I'd get like 2, 3, 4 emails from people that are like, I mean, one guy was like, "If I donated 1,000, would you do 3 or 4?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would do whatever my class divided by that amount, and I'll round it up one so that." And so yeah, he gave 1,000 and split it amongst the, yeah. So it was like, they weren't playing. I mean, I've met some well-off people in my life to be able to say to them, like, put your money where your mouth is, or where your keyboard fingers are, right? And do some real, some real shit. That's it.
Yeah, show me your action, you know. Let's go past an Instagram post.
Right.
What have you done? I definitely love that. Calling in folks or calling out folks is a personal passion of mine, so I inspire that. But yeah, we have our next question, and I'll pass it over to BB.
Oof, I love me some receipts. Um, so, something that you said about, you found that there were members of community who were like, you're well off. What are you doing with your funds? And being able to recognize that that they'll listen to you, right? I love that they were scared, as they should be, pay up. And being able to know that you can call on community members like that is something that's really powerful. And something you said yesterday when we talked briefly, it was know who you are in your community. And that really stuck with me. And I'm wondering, how and when did you find out who you are to your community, or even, what you could be to your community?
Earl, you know what? I met, and this is not to name drop, but also just to say that that's not my thing, right? KRS One, a long time. I did Rock the Bells. Like, I've been doing this for a minute, and I got a bunch of artists to paint for Rock the Bells, one year, and I met KRS in this kind of thing, KRS One, and KRS One has the Temple of Hip Hop. He did some like stuff, but there was something that stuck to me, that he was like, hip hop is a culture, right? It's not a little fad, right? It's a culture. It's a culture of people. We live a certain way. We act, we do. And he said that everybody has a place. And you just have to know what you do. So if you're not a rapper, an MC, if you're not an MC, if you're not a graffiti artist, or a break dancer, if you're not part of the four, or a DJ, right? Hip hop is more than just those four elements, right? It's the people that support, it's the connectors, it's the venue owners. It's like, so in him saying that, because I don't rap and I don't do none of that, right? But I felt like I was hip hop, right? Like, I felt like I was the girl, like, carrying the book bag, the spray paint cans for my boys back in the day. And I definitely brought my little boombox to places so that we had music. So knowing who you are in a community, I've always kind of taken this, um like, role, like, knowing what my role is in a community. And sometimes you don't know, because you want to be something that you ain't, right? Like, so you have to kind of get to a place of knowing yourself, like knowing what you're good at. And what I'm good at is being in community with people. Like, I love to be in places. I love to go support people. I love to, my name Lily B comes from a joke in Arizona, where uh I went to a rave in a desert, and one of my son's father's teachers aides, right, was at this rave, and he was like, oh, like, we run into each other all at the university, and then he said, Lily, you be everywhere. And that's where it stuck, Lily B, right? Like, I just be a little bit of everywhere. I ran into him all the time, and so it kind of just stuck. When I came back to Chicago after that little 3-year stint in Arizona, was, I'm just gonna be. I exist. That's where and so I'm going to be in community with the people I want to be in community with. And I learned that very quickly, that as a supporter of the arts, it is almost my job to be able to call things out for the people that have something to lose should they do it, right? I ain't got nothing to lose by saying, it's really white in here, right? Like I ain't got nothing to lose, but the person who owns the venue might, like they still have a van, and I get it. I get the fear, but ain't nothing gonna happen to me. I'm not gonna lose nothing if I'm the woman saying like, where are all your black and brown people in this piece? I there's nothing for me to lose, and I know why people don't, right? Because I've been doing storytelling for almost a decade. So knowing your role, who can play a big part in galvanizing or motivating or moving and shaking people, but also knowing when to like ask, right, for help, right? Because you can't, a closed mouth don't get fed. And so I have learned to ask, do you need help? How can I be of service? It's one of the things I say at least once or twice a day. It's like, how can I be of service to you? And not just monetarily, right? Like, well, who do I know that you might know? What do you need that I might have? Right? I mean, you never know. So just when did I know? I've been known. Like I got to a place where I know who I was very young. And then just kind of always like, oh, that's who I am in the room. Okay. I'm the oldest one here. Okay. I'm the old bitch in the room. I do this. I'll be that. Uh and accepting it, right? And accepting my place in these circles and communities.
I love what you said about asking. Um, that really resonates with me because my mom, when I was a kid, would always say like, you don't lose anything with asking, right? Like kind of like exactly what you said. Like, um, there's nothing like you. The worst thing that could happen is a no, right? Um, I also think with like I can, like you said, I can only speak from my experience, right? But I think as a Latinx person, there is a part of me that's a natural carer, and I think that also I see that in you as well. um I also was stuck with what you said about being self-aware, right? And knowing what you can give, knowing what you want. And so yesterday when we talked briefly, you told us about a relationship that you built through Facebook dating, right? And that turned into a whole mutual aid relationship. And I was stuck with like, wow, Lily B practices radical honesty. And that's how I saw that you built this relationship. And I would love to hear more about all about it.
It was so Paul, my PA. It was so funny because I didn't know Facebook had dating. And so when they came up on my thing, I was like, oh, let me see what this, but also I just in my 40s, I realized or I discovered that I'm asexual and probably have always been, and just let the world kind of like pressure me into this like mold. Like I was pegging dudes. I was like, I was doing things that were not about my satisfaction, but more of just kind of like, this is my way of empowering myself. And so and then relationships were always like, you're cheating on me. And I'm like, no, I'm out. I'm legit out lost in like a park or something, like in a park, right? I'm like, no, for real. Like, so so it was really funny to me that when I came to this, like, oh, asexual is an option. Like I can be asexual. I could probably have always been. And then when I decided to get on Facebook dating, I made that very clear in my profile. Like I am asexual, right? Like this is not going to be one of those like, oh, we fucking all the time. And Paul was like, I like your style. And so we started like as a conversation, because I had not navigated dating as an asexual person yet. So I got into a conversation. I think we finally talked. It was like December, mid December or late December. We hit each other up, and then we talked for like 6 hours, like a whole part-time shift at some place. Like it was, and someone, like it was like a job interview basically. And then we just kept like hitting each other up, being on some nerdy shit. We found out we had a lot of like stuff in common. And then one day on the phone, I joked with him about just have you heard of this term kept man? Because he was out of work because of the pandemic, because he's a cook chef, and that was it. Like everything closed down. There were no more food places, and so he had been out of work since like April, May, I don't know, beginning of the pandemic. And now this is now December, and I had been like thriving. Like I have been like on the internet, like doing my classes, and it got to be like, I need help in this piece. Like I need someone to like throw out garbages, and I'm a single woman living by myself. So it was also this like, I don't trust nobody in here. I got a lizard. I got a lizard to move in with me. Like I was just, and also I'm very like, I have my triggers and I have my trauma that I still have because of past relationships. So I really wasn't trying to get a roommate or any of that. And so with this relationship conversation, we started to see that we could benefit each other in that he's got creative kind of aspirations outside of just cooking and working, right? And that I am creatively helping and making things that require some help around the place. Like just I need my meals made, I need, my coffee done, my lizard needs to get fed, all this stuff that he was like, I'll be a cat dad, like hashtag. I think that was, we just heard the joke was like, I'll be a cat dad, like hashtag goals. And and I was like, well, you're hired. What's funny is that it happened so fast. Like this conversation, like we met, like I said, end of December. By January 10th or something, but right after the insurgents or whatever they call whatever, right after the Capitol thing, he was in my place. Like, and this was a big fucking deal because I haven't had anyone in my place for 4 or 5 years, three to 5 years. So to have someone really was a test of my trust and boundaries, and for him to kind of was, I mean, we've been learning from each other ever since. Like we're a good little dynamic duo. Like he does what he needs to do, I do it. And not to say that it's been perfect. We've had it out. We've had it out. But it's in this really healthy space of like, look, what else are we gonna do, right? Like you can always go back to where the fuck you were, and I could go back to where the fuck I was, but let's not fake the funk. We've totally been mutually beneficial to each other. So it's been growing and learning, and he's my first PA. I love it. I don't think I could go on after this without a PA. Like at this point, like and I'll just, and this is how I'll do it. Like my home is open, and now if you need the help, like you don't got to worry about nothing but me. Like, you ain't got to worry about nothing but my food and my, and he gets, and he really does take that seriously. Like it's not like so it just, who knew Facebook dating get you a PA. Just, there's a lot of, just find you a good one, find you a Paul, he got a good heart, good spirit, 6-hour interview. You hear that, Paul? Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome, Paul.
It's so incredible because it's really, I think what I've been learning a lot about, like we say, talking about the phrase mutual aid, but it's really just, like Kiko was saying this just the other day, it's just people giving each other things. And I think how it like unlocks the like capitalistic mindset that we get like hit over the head with is like, oh, it's only money, like unlocking that and thinking about what you have in a different way and what other people can give you in a different way, so you even know what to ask for, is like, if it feels like so powerful. So yeah, Facebook dating, it can
Facebook
be
dating, who
anything.
knew?
Who
and
knew?
also and just go out and ask it and say it, right? Like I have friends who are just like, I'm in a rut, da 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 da. Like they're telling you like I'm just and I'll go in I'll go in a DM so quick, like, what'll get you out of this rut? For real. Do you need some food sent to you? Do you need what can I get? What can I send? I got an Instacart membership. What do you need? Some groceries sent to you? Do you not have a ride? Like what is like I had a friend who was like, I want to start making art more, but these damn Adobe blah 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 classes or you have to everything's a license, right? And I'm like, here's Adobe Photoshop for like a year. Don't worry about it. Go make some shit, right? Because it's like we need I'm not gonna say we again. I don't know anybody's life, but I can't watch people suffer in my face, right? I can't. And if I can do something about it, I will. Like I will. I'm not gonna say this because but I keep cash money on me all the time just to be able to say, get out, like just go do what you need to do, because it's just I don't know, it's again, if I can be of service to the community or space that I'm in, I'm going to do that. And it's not always going to be money. Sometimes it is like, who do I know who could donate some shit to this fundraiser. I had a friend who was like, "We need things to raffle for these kids," and I'm like, "What are you looking for?" And they're like, "Memberships." I'm like, "Who do I know what could works either at the museums that can donate some memberships?" Or and I tagged all those fucking people. I tagged every person I knew that worked at a museum and said question mark like, who do you know? Because you never know. And guess what? She got like three people to donate some shit, right? So it's like, come on now, people, and it ain't gonna hurt. Como, like you just said, right? Like it ain't gonna hurt if you ask. And if people get annoyed, then guess what they can do? They can go into your DMs and be like, don't do that no more. And then I'll be like, okay, I respect that boundary, and that's it, right? But then say that, right? And now I know where you stand on a bunch of shit, right? So, but everyone's so closed off. No one, come on now. We ain't I joke that we ain't that special, y'all. We're all unique and divine, and we're all like uniquely and divinely made. We're all little snowflakes, but we all still snow, right? Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and again, know that know that I am uniquely and divinely made. I have my own boundaries. I have my own space. This is what I need. This is what I don't need. This is what I have. This is what I don't have. Don't fake the funk about that. And if you don't, then people will meet you where you are. But if you sitting here lying like you over here and you really over here, like guess where people, people are gonna be right here and you still gonna feel empty, right? You still gonna feel like you missing something. So be where you are, and people will meet you there. That's what I've learned, and that's what I do every day. I love it.
It's so funny. Just watching Pickle and I are just like with no words. It's just okay.
You're welcome.
And I think, it's so interesting too because I'm like, we're talking about mental health, we're talking about self-worth also in this, because I think that there is really like a certain type of power in knowing yourself to be able to say who you are. I mean, you just be. So like being able to do that and understand what you can give is just, I feel like no one can touch you.
I
At a
feel that, and
mm-hmm.
if you feel that way, then then thank you, right? But it's not like I don't walk out with the intention of like, don't I am it's not even like it's why I am who I am is more important to me than who I am. And why I am Lily B is a culmination of everything that I have ever been, seen, done, experienced, right? And so I have to consider that you and everyone else in this room also has that complexity to them. So for me, assuming that you are in a space like I can't I just can't be in that place where I just assume that everybody is who the news says they are or who one person said they are. Like I have to kind of meet people again where they are and take what I and then ask. I'm nosy. Uh like, like I'm just gonna ask, like, what do you mean by that? This is how that made me feel, and I'm very kind of upfront about that. I can't do that. No, I don't have the capacity for that. I'm in the middle of three things. Like, again, that boundary setting and that self-awareness, but that don't come easy. Like, that's gonna take some time, and that's okay. That's okay. If you think I'm untouchable, great, but I know I am, and that's the thing, is like, and but I'm also like, go ahead, touch me. What's like, I'm like, go ahead, pull it, because again, what's gonna happen? I've been touched in ways that I appreciate and that I don't, and I know how I am going to handle it. So again, just being is really my big thing. Like, I'm just gonna be and let you be how you want to be until it gets in the way of what needs to be done, like, right, and that's it. And so I'm here for it. I'm here for all y'all, you know everybody.
Yes, thank you. And we're so here for you. This has been really awesome, Kiko. I think might be okay to open up for if our audience has any more questions, or did you have any more questions before we moved on? Yes, you do.
Yes, okay, so um we one of our questions was like, I feel like I already know the answer, but I still want to hear you say it. Uh, is how do you find like the courage and the strength to call folks in and to call folks out and like to be like, yeah, I'm gonna tag you in this, right? So yeah, I would love to hear more about that.
So I came to learn, especially with social media, y'all. It's just so like, um, I find that, like, at the end of the day, we all end up in the same place as the same skeletal dust, right? Like, and that, essentially, what do I have to lose? What do I have to lose? If I tag a friend who I believe can help, how you gonna be mad that I tagged you to help somebody? Or how you gonna find, like, how you gonna have an attitude about that, right? And if you do, then thank you for showing me that person, and I won't tag you again, right? In a question mark, because again, I don't know you, I don't know your life like that, but if you steady posting about your job at the field museum, or your work that you do, I'm going to tag you and put a question mark when a friend is like, hey, I'm looking to see if you could help the kids that I'm working with. So it's not even about courage. It's about just like, it's about doing for people, like I said, being of service to people. Like, if it's not like, I'm not afraid of helping people, right? I'm not afraid of that. It's nothing to be afraid of. And if you want me to be afraid of that, then that speaks more about you than anything, right? And so I'm not afraid of helping people. And every now and then I'm like, oh, but what if these people fuck me over? Because that's real. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes I'll be like, but then again, then I'm like, you, bitch, you just do what you always done, right? Like, you just like if you ain't down, then you just keep going. Like, it's always like, you know what's the worst that's gonna happen? And honestly, I've come to terms with, like, death ain't the worst thing that's gonna happen. Death ain't the worst thing. Like, it ain't. I get to be an ancestor. What? Okay, let's come on now, bring it. I'm ready. So that's why I'm like, so that's why for me it's like, if it ain't killing me, I'm doing it, right? And even if it is, I'm still doing it. It's not the worst thing. I get to be in my most ethereal, what, please. So I guess there is no fear. I mean, there's no fear. It's not courage, because it's just no fear about it. You know. Thanks. Aw, y'all so sweet. I really appreciate this.
it's like, it's so, it's really inspiring, you know, because I think what a lot of what we're trying to build is a lot of what you've been doing. We're just being, this is how we're organizing it. So hearing you talk about just, I'm gonna call people in, I'm gonna tag them, just whatever. Like, I think it feels like really affirming just to know that like what we like seek to do like is being done and can be done. And like there are ways that we can like break down all these like stank barriers that are between us and really just say like, hey, how can I be of service to you? And have the boundaries to say what I need someone to give me things that we ask. So it just feels like we're just like, yes. So it's very fortifying. So like, excuse us while we just, you know, fan over you.
And real quick, just so that you all know, because I need to put this in like a perspective, they do it for worse reasons, right? Like there, you got like, let's get a little serious. You got people who can't stand each other sitting in boardrooms making decisions, taking out whole groups of people. Okay. And they're doing it without this, like, how can I be of service? They're straight up like can't stand each other. Like, I know that there's people in boardrooms sitting around boardrooms, like can't even look at each other, but their one main goal is we need to take this out. We need to buy out this whole block, and we don't give a fuck what happens to these people, right? And they're not doing it from a place of like understanding and care. And no, they're doing it because they just trying to make some money and they out. So what I'm saying is like, why would I be afraid of calling on my people for help, right? Like if I know that people are calling on each other and they're enemies, right? Like they're calling on their enemies and they're getting the help. So I'm like, what? It's like, no. So that there is the motivator too. It's just like, if I don't do what I can do with what I have, then I know that people who do have and have the means are gonna do 10 times as much and against what I need to do. So I need to always be doing something. And it don't always got to be on Facebook, and it don't always got to be plastered for the world to see. I do a lot more like the G in lasagna, right? Real silent. Uh just doing what I do, because it's what I want to do, and that's it. So if you don't feel like Prince did that, right? Prince, the artist who may rest in peace, right? Was just like, don't tell nobody I'm giving you this money. Don't tell nobody I'm doing this for you. Just take it and go do the work you need to do. I think we just got to be on that. We jag money every day. We jag $1 a day. I used to say that at my show. You jag $1 on some bullshit every day. Balance it out. This is your chance, right? Take that dollar and put it into some good shit, whatever that is, and go make a difference. $1 goes a long way. My mom used to say, if you can see the value in the giving more than the dollar, right? And that was it. That's basically what I do. Is like, if I don't have $1, I got something to give you. Leave people better than you found them, always. And you will find yourself in good places with good people. My motto.
Um, I feel like I'm so inspired, and um I also want to give, and I have so many more questions, but I also want to give time for folks who are in the space as well, to ask you questions. Hopefully they're as inspired as I am. So yeah, we'll open it up to the floor to ask Lily B some questions, or yeah.
To do so, feel free to either, if you're comfortable, you want to ask a question and turn on your mic or your camera, that's cool, or you can type any questions that you have in the chat that you can ask. Also, we'll take general comments and things. But maybe while we wait for folks to think of questions. Um, I I have a follow-up. Or actually, well, it's a little off topic. So, Kiko, if you had like an odd topic question, maybe we could ask yours while our audience is watching. No, no, no. Okay. Um, so I kind of have a question about, it's a little bit like nitty gritty, because I think it's also important not only to talk about our successes, but also talk about when things don't necessarily go the right way. Is there like a project or a situation that, you know, was something that you were doing out of mutual aid, or something that it didn't work, or like, what do you do? I'm just curious about like also talking about the struggles of like learning this new, it's not a new way, but like, I suppose
Well,
learning to really be intentional
Well, I didn't
with,
get here from like everything being roses, right? Like I didn't get in
right.
here like it's so great. No, I've had some people like the whole reason I got into storytelling was because some dude took all the money out my bank account, and you know what I'm saying. And I wanted to like I felt like I was gonna die, and a friend of mine was like, "Come tell a story at a show." So it's not, and I took this person in out of the kindness and goodness of my heart. Like came to live with me, was living on a couch surfing, and then we became really close friends, and then took everything on my bank account and fucked me over, left me in a really fucked up place. I've definitely been screwed over with like money and help and but again, I don't let it harden my heart. There's if you're any type of like spiritual or religious or anything, there's a verse. It's like uh along the lines of like don't let it harden your heart, let it not harden your heart. I'm not a verse memorizer, but something about not letting the world make you cold to it, right? Like people are gonna be people, and when I understand, because I'll see this person that did it and will upward nod, you know, or no, downward nod. Upward nod is like, what's up? Downward nod is like, I see you. So so it was like, I see you. But never in a way that's like, fuck that person, right? Because if I hadn't gone through what I went through with that person, I wouldn't be here. I would not have gotten into storytelling. I would not have gotten the avalanche that was, the snowball effect that was what it was. So um I guess I just come from a very faithful like just I have faith, and I believe that nothing happens to me, it happens for me. And so everything then becomes some kind of abundance. But oh yeah, I have my moments where I want to just say fuck you to the world. I'm not gonna deny that. But then it's the from when I was in my 20s to now, right now that my son is grown, that moment is very like now like a snap, right? Where before it used to be like 2 weeks in my bed crying, like why, right? Or more than that. Now it's like, yeah, that makes sense, and what is this opening up? Why is this for me? And sometimes it's just to kind of like, Lily, where are you? It's a reflective. I use it as a moment of reflection, as opposed to a moment of like deflection, or like moving, like removing myself from the world. It's actually a lesson for me to get more into the world, and myself even. Like what did you miss? What were you not paying attention to? And it becomes that. But don't get me wrong, the failures like project, oh my goodness, I can't even, like, I've mural projects and art projects and organizations that I've worked with, and people that have just been really like, you've run into, and they're not going anywhere. The people who are just like, we're threatened by the way you sound. And it's like, well, baby, you gonna be threatened a lot, because this is the way people from where I'm from sound, right? Or just not, or not knowing how to set boundaries and taking on more than I had the capacity to take on. So I let shit, go. I let shit go for too long. So yeah, but you grow. Those are the experiences that help you grow into a better version of you. and you have to take it for that. But own that shit. Don't deny it ever happened. I love telling people like I fucked up. Uh, I love it. I fucked up, and this is how I fucked up, so I know. But also, but grow and learn from those places, right? And that's what I've just been doing. I ain't the best I'm supposed to be, but I'm also like okay with where I am. You know, so. And I have stories, so like tons and tons and tons and tons of stories around. It's just like that's why I am where I am. All those experiences.
Wow, yes, thank you. Thank you for answering that so honestly too.
Hey.
I just wanted to say that was like so good. It is like the way you tell a story. I feel like I'm in the room. I'm like watching it happen. Like I'm part of it. So just saying that you're great at that. Um, do I really have a question or just compliments? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this was just like really, really cool and interesting. And like that's like I feel like there's sometimes like or like I get this sense from the world that like someone does you wrong and it's like you have to hold that and like that's like a badass thing to do or whatever. But like I actually think it is a really badass thing to be like, well, what did I learn from this? Like what happened there and then like figuring it out and like just kind of moving forward with things. So yeah, that just really like made me think and I thought that was cool. So I don't know that I have any questions. Sorry. I was just like, yes,
No,
like
that's
I have so many stories. I'm like, I can't wait. I've gotta like, find your stuff so I can
find it, find it. I'm gonna be doing a lot of it, Deanna. Real quick, so for everyone, right? Because I love these rooms for this. Um, and I don't know if it's for everyone, but for me, I'm gonna say this for me. I find joy now in like I look forward to the moments where I'm fucking up or when things don't go right. Like I look forward to the person with the attitude. I look for because it's not my fault. It's not like I know that it's not me, right? And it's and it brings me to this place of like um I almost have fun with it, like a game, like a game of like, why are you this way? Like I said early on, why are you who you are versus who you are, right? And it's and in my head, I've heard millions of hours of stories. I could play out any scenario, right? Like the woman who was like, I was like, thank you, and then I was like, no, thank you, and she's like, it's on your receipt. Okay. But then in my head, I'm like, which of the kids did this, right? Or who do I really have to blame for this? This being taken out on me. And when you think about it, it's I empathize with those people. And I kind of feel like why are you, and I can start to be like, okay, I don't have to match your energy, I don't even have to stay in the same place. I hope it all works out. I hope it all turns around for you. And then I just did that, I just do that and like and wish them well, give them that energy and bounce, unless you trying to put your hands on me or something, well then, then I gotta go where I gotta go. But if it's something like, you know, you said something or you in a kind of snippy or whatever, I just be like, okay, you know, I know if it wasn't me directly, something. And if I had the time, I'd be like, come here. Can I have a word with you? Let's sit down. And I've done that too. I've done that too. I've sat down like, listen, I know I don't know you, but come here, have a seat real quick. Um, and that's worked. And you'd be surprised what you find out about people where it's like, yeah, it's not you. I just had my car impounded. It's not cool. I gotta work this shitty job. Like I've had this happen to me. And that's what it's like, yeah, I'd have an attitude against me too with my chipper ass. So Like, you know, what are you so happy about? You didn't have, you know, it's great. I love it. But you know, I get to choose where I put my energy and be very intentional about it, which is a good place to be, you know. So this is great. Oh, they're so great.
Thank you.
So we are like a minute away from 8 o'clock, and so I do want to respect everyone's time boundary. So yeah, I am ready to close it out. If BB and Lily, you are, if anyone else has any more questions.
Yay. This is great. Thank you.
Okay. Oh,
Yes, thank you so much, Libby. We're so grateful to have you here.
yes, I feel like I took so much away from this conversation, and I hope everyone else did. Thank you so much. We also want to thank everyone who was here today. We're in a fucking pandemic. Also, you could have been out protesting that evil fucking cop we have as mayor. So you know, we're also excited to always make these events and be in community with y'all. We want to let you know for June Bloom, Moving with Your Ability, that our guest artist will be Tracy Kanzika, a very good friend of ours. Look out for more information on our Instagram. We also want to recognize that in our surveys, the majority of the needs of the community have been mental health. So we are excited to announce that starting in July, our next 3 sessions will be focused towards like mental health only. Thank you again, and I'll send it off to Lily B to plug anything that she wants to, and then we'll have a good night.
Oh yeah, just everything, right? Like go out there and like go find your creators, cuz this ain't about me, right? Like go find your creators, go find your healers, go find your magic makers out there and support them. And if they're not asking for support, ask them how you can support them, cuz I guarantee there is something you can do, right? There's something, and if there's anything you have in abundance or excess, see if there's people that need it. That's it, you know. So go and find your people, and don't be afraid to ask them how you can help. It feels good, y'all. It feels really really good when you can do it. So do it if you can. And much love to everybody. And also Chi, if y'all need another guest for this, Chi right there. You see the little sign right there, Chi. Hit Chi up. Yeah. Hit Chi up.
Yay!
Oh, she be doing it. So definitely someone you definitely want to have in one of these little sessions, because she be on it. All right.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, y'all. See you in June Bloom. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.